Where does this meh mound of mediocrity land? Let's rank this film on the Cageometer.
That leads us over to the most important question we ask on the show. Vince, where does The Ant Bully from 2006, I think, rate on your Cageometer?
Boy, this is a tough one to watch. I'm going to give this movie a 5. Maybe that's too harsh. Again, it's a kid's movie, especially since I think I gave The Croods a better score. But I just felt like for being adapted from a child's book, it felt like the things they added were completely unnecessary, and for me, took away from the story. The fact that he's a wizard and adding the exterminator, I think it kind of, for me, it lessened the impact of the moral that they were going for. I think if it would have been a more of like Stranger in a Strange Land, learning the errors of his ways, I think that would have been more enjoyable than having all this other stuff. But I guess you have to have some bigger conflict to keep kids interested. I don't have kids, so I don't really know how they work. But I think there's a good story here, and there's a good moral story being told. I don't feel like it was executed very well. And it kind of going back to what you said about both the lead guys thinking, do we really need another Ant story? I think the passion for this film wasn't there, and I think that bleeds over into the film. That's all I'll say on that. As far as Nick, I mean, I gave him a 7 in The Croods, so I should probably give him the same here, because I felt like, again, I'll say it, I think he is really probably more meant for voiceover, because his voice is very animated, and I feel like it brings a little bit more life to the characters. Was this an Oscar award-winning performance by him? God, no. Did he make it more enjoyable for me? Yes. I wish there had been more of his character on the screen than some of the other characters. I mean, of all the characters, I have to say Bruce Campbell probably stole the show. I think his character was the only reason why the second act didn't have me punching my face out. But I wish there would have been more of him. I think he did a good job with what he was given. And I guess since I was so kind to him on The Croods, which was similar to this, in my opinion, as far as his performance goes, I'll give him a 7 again. Yeah,
I feel like Bruce Campbell and what's his name? The guy who plays Joe Swanson,
Patrick Warburton.
Yeah, they just kind of like come in and crush it every time they're doing animated stuff, and whenever they're live action as well.
Yeah.
But like, Bruce Campbell's. I mean, if I was making an animated film, I would put Bruce Campbell in it.
100%.
Yeah. All right, Nigel, where does The Ant Bully rate on your Cageometer?
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. I was expecting it to be way worse than it was, and I thought it was going to be at the start just because I had to get used to the crappy animation, especially compared to, what had come out at the time. This looked worse than Toy Story, which had come out 10 years prior to it, which it's Pixar. So again, it's like holding everything to a standard, but the studios were kind of doing that. They were trying to chase that Pixar money or that Pixar fame and success, and don't quite hit it. But ultimately I thought it was actually pretty good. I liked a lot of the visuals more than The Croods. I don't want to compare it too much to The Croods since that came out 10 years later or whatever, but we just watched it prior, even though time's funny that way. We're watching things out of order and weird, but I think I said during The Croods, a lot of it was visually uninteresting to me. It just kind of felt like wide open vistas that they had these wide shots just so they could have the family doing stuff. This actually felt like there was some dynamics, like the scale of things felt realistic. It was interesting visually. There was a lot of I don't know. It felt like there was more going on. My kid was more interested in it. She watched a lot more of it than she did of The Croods. So, and she didn't care about the story because she's 3, so she doesn't care about any of that. So I think just visually was more appealing to her. But
we should have her come in and do the ratings on these
kids movies. But anyway, I mean, it's not it's not a bad movie. It's kind of forgettable. I don't think it does anything terrible or great. So I'd give it another 5. You know, I actually enjoyed a lot of it more than The Croods, and I'm done comparing it to The Croods just because we used that as an example when we just watched it. I don't know, I felt like the story was a little more interesting. It had a little bit more varied stuff going on with it, and the theme of like family and messaging and hidden smarter writing that The Croods had wasn't quite there with this one, but it's a kids movie and it's got a decent adventure with some decent action at the end with the taking on the exterminator and stuff. So I mean, it's just kind of a forgettable one, but I'm sure kids like it, so I don't be too harsh on it.
I don't know if even kids really liked it. It only made $55 million. Like, kids
but again, I think that was just the audience being like, I don't want to go see another fucking Ants movie. Like, we just had 2 of these, you know, pretty much back to back. I think Ants and Bugs Life came out in the same year.
Those were it was like a studio war 2000s.
Thing. It was early 2000s. Yeah, they came out.
So then it was like you had that, and then this came out after that. It was sort of like people probably just saw it and was like, it's just another fucking stupid game. And it was, 2006 Nick Cage, which was kind of a mixed bag for folks. So I can see why people just didn't give it a shot, and then the ones that did are just kind of like, whatever. Like, there's no need to rewatch that. It's not a classic, kids movie and stuff. So I feel like a 5 is fair, middle of the road. I think that the voice acting cast was really good. I felt a lot of the different characters had character to them, and I liked that the actors they had in it. It's a weird mix of actors in it, but I think they all did a pretty good job with what was probably a day or 2 in the studio that they gave it. So yeah, I mean, especially like we said, Bruce Campbell was a standout. He just swings for the fences. Everything he does, you can instantly tell it's Bruce Campbell. And he always seems like he's having a ton of fun no matter what he's doing. So I wish he was in it more just because his character was the most interesting and entertaining for adults and kids. I think kids would like him too, because he's funny and over the top and does slapstick and character voices. I don't know. Whatever. Not to harp on it too much. For Nick Cage,
Bruce Campbell's definitely one of those guys who, like, you can tell that he really enjoys what he does and still really appreciates everything he has as a result of Evil Dead way back in the day. Like, his whole career spawned from that, and
because he happened to be friends with Sam Raimi, that sort of catapulted his career. And then and I think part of that is because it's not the Bruce Campbell show, but it's part of that's because Bruce Campbell, like, he appreciates what he's got, what he's been given, and what people like about him, and he just keeps doing that and getting work because of it. And I think he's genuinely happy to do it, and it shows in all of his roles.
Definitely.
Speaking of that, I did enjoy Nick Cage's performance more in this. It felt a little bit more human. Again, I guess I'm not done comparing to The Croods, but I felt like Zoc had a little bit more character to him than Grug did. And I don't know if it's just the way Nick Cage talks. He feels a little bit more natural. He does have some performance to it. He's got some emotion in his lines. I think he did a pretty good job. I do agree with Vince on this one that he's really good in animated voice acting. So I give him a 7 out of this one. On this one, 7 out of 10. It's not an Oscar-worthy performance like we said, but I think it's pretty good for Zoc. It's sort of a similar thing. I kind of felt like he wasn't phoning anything in. He was caring about the character, trying to do what he could with an ant sorcerer and still keep it grounded and relatable. So, I don't know much more to say about it. He doesn't have a lot of cagey moments to it other than the ones we've talked about where some of his line delivery is obviously Nick Cage. But there's nothing that's like over the top or animated, for lack of a better word. So I mean, it's his performance is good in an otherwise middle of the road animated movie.
I'm pretty much just going to echo the same thing. I'm not going to harp on it too long, but it's just boring. I don't know. It's a middle of the road movie. It's like so forgettable, and like I didn't like the animation at all. I just don't like this style. It just felt kind of empty in a lot of the shots. Like, it's just like, did they finish rendering these
Probably
parts?
not.
It's just, especially like anything that happens outside of the ant world just feels empty and lifeless and kind of drab, and I don't know. There's just nothing to it. The grass is just like a solid sheet of green. There's like nothing to it. There's no texture. There's nothing going on. A lot of the characters were just kind of like, why is this character even in it? Like Mamo was just like, ugh. Just so we can have some levity here and there of her spitting her teeth out. It's like her only joke.
Yeah,
like,
teeth,
she spits her teeth out as she believes in aliens. That's it. I don't even know why that character's in the movie.
So they could be like the parents didn't just leave the kid alone.
Because if the parents had been there the whole
style.
time, it'd be hard to explain away the fact that this kid is missing for 3 days.
And the apathetic sister who was supposed to be taking care of him just doesn't actually pay attention to him at all.
No, she's too busy trying to recruit people to her cult. She's voiced by Allison Mack.
You just keep getting darker and darker on this one.
Nexus? No? Okay. Or Nexium? I can't remember what the name of that fucking cult was. Anyways.
Yeah, I don't really have a whole lot more to say about the movie. I didn't really enjoy it all that much. It was fun in points and had some fun, I don't know, bits here and there. But like on the whole, I'll never watch it again.
Yeah.
I don't really have any lasting memory of the film aside from it was all right, I guess. I don't know, forgettable.
Yeah, this feels like a movie that people want to shit on, but I don't think there's really much to shit on.
There's nothing to shit on. It's kind of just like, it's okay. It's just not great.
Yeah.
It's all right. I don't know.
It's not the worst movie you will ever watch, but it's not, you're not going to walk away with
It's not even the worst
memories.
movie we've watched. It's not even the worst animated movie we've watched.
No, God, I'd watch this over A Christmas Carol, the story, or whatever the fuck that piece of shit was any day.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see where it ranks on the final grouping of all of the animated films, but it's fine. It's just not great. And it's not terrible. It's just middle tier.
Yeah.
I'll just go ahead and say I'll give Nick the same as you guys. Like he was good. He just wasn't amazing.
Wait, did you give a score for the movie?
Oh, I gave it a 5. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if you said it or not.
Nah, you never said it.
Yeah.
I kind of felt like you were saying middle of the road was a 5, but I don't think you officially said it.
Yeah. I'm just echoing. I'm just giving him the exact same scores that you did. 5 and a 7. He's good. He's I don't know. He's kind of like the moral center of the film and kind of the logical person. Where I feel like Julia Roberts' character is just kind of like wacky and loves him from the jump. While he's stomping on the colony, she's like, he's just misunderstood. And like, I don't know. I wanted Lucas dead the whole movie.
Yeah, she definitely is the embodiment of the emotional side of humanity. Where he's the logical side of humanity.
She's like the emotional center, the heart of the film, whereas Nick is the brain of the film. And then, I don't know, Meryl Streep just showed up for a day.
Yeah.
Made a paycheck.
She was there for an hour.
Right. She has like 6 lines. Something. It's not even, And it's Meryl Streep. It's not like she has to do a bunch of takes. She probably just did one take for each of them.
Oh, yeah.
She fucking
I'm sure they were just like, you're amazing. Thank you so much for doing this.
She's like, I'm in my pajamas.
And she's like, give my thanks to Tom. That's the only reason I'm here.
Right.
I don't know what else to say. I would say he's similar to how Grug was in The Croods, where it's just kind of like he just needs to be a person almost, and just kind of like a center for things to revolve around. But like he doesn't have to be wacky and zany. He totally goes wacky and zany in this next movie that we're going to be talking about. He basically does the Pokey voice from Peggy Sue Got Married the entire movie, which works perfectly in a cartoon.
Yeah.
Doesn't really work well as a doo-wop singer.
Which we fucking talked about. He played like 3 cartoon characters in a row. Back then.
I'm glad that he finally like does a cartoon character in a cartoon not really a cartoon, but yeah, you get it. It's a cartoon, but it's not a cartoon. I don't know. It's Sonic
And then
the Hedgehog.
ironically, these last two animated movies, he's a cartoon
more of
character,
a
but just plays a
normal
straight man.
Yeah. Anyways, 7 for Nick and 5 for the movie.